Welcome, everybody, to the Drop Dad podcast. I am one half of your hosting team, Kevin Peterson, and right next to me, I have Troy Green. Troy, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here. I don't have my hat that I usually wear.
You don't have
you
your
have
hat.
my hat.
I am wearing your hat, Kevin. I don't know why I decided to do it like that. I just thought it'd be funny.
Hey, bro, I'm Troy. Brother.
Bro, I'm Troy.
Pitter patter.
Roll for sanity.
Pitter patter.
Let's get at her.
Let's get at her. Oh God, you got me onto Letterkenny too. Like
It's a good
It's
show.
fucking good.
It's a really good
it
show.
has heart. I didn't know it had so much heart.
It does have heart,
good.
and an abundant amount of catchphrases.
Oh my God, I've started saying some. Like
Fuck you, Shorzy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, fucking nut tugger or whatever it's called.
What is it? Give your sack a tug, you tit fucker.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to get there.
It's one of those infinitely rewatchable shows. It kind of reminds me of probably because it's Canadian, but it's Trailer Park Boys. It's
Oh,
kinda
Trailer
like
Park
that.
Boys is good.
Yeah. I watched quite a bit of that. We haven't finished it yet, but we've watched a lot of it and some of the movies too.
And fucking Leahy died.
Yeah. And he's fucking great.
He is great.
I always, every time I get a little too drunk, I always do his like, I'm on top of the liquor. I'm a monkey in charge of the bananas.
Gotta
so
become the liquor.
Oh God, I just got a fucking. You ever get like a random text where they're trying to bait you, and they
all
go
the time.
I recently I got one that says "Have a nice day." The fuck does that mean?
So we talked about this on an unreleased episode of Drop Dead Podcast, but your Russian bot followers, I get the sexts all the time. For a good time, click this link, and I'm like, fucking no.
Yeah. One was like, "Hey, I'm still picking you up, right?" I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, who could this be?" Like, they're getting clever. It's not just like, "Oh, hey, I'm stuck in,
And
Australia."
we wonder why our grandparents fall for the shit, because we're even looking at it like, huh? No.
And you know what? That's a good segue into something that. Oh wait, we should do the beer first,
Let's
and
do the beer.
then we'll segue.
So, you brought today from Sierra Nevada.
Sierra Nevada. I love Sierra Nevada. They're a great beer company. They're incredible. This one is Juicy Little Thing IPA. They have like other ones that are the little thing, like hazy little thing and big hazy little thing. But yeah, this one's Juicy Little Thing, and it caught my eye, and I was like, you know what? I haven't had this one yet.
Well, let's try it.
Let's crack it open.
So, as you will notice today on Drop Dad Podcast, we don't have a guest. We thought it would be nice just to settle back, have a nice, relaxing episode.
All of our friends said no, or like they had better things to do.
What Kevin means is Troy did not plan appropriately to have a guest for the show.
Every time we reached out to anybody, they said, "Fuck you."
Who wants to be on that shitty podcast? This is more hoppy than the last one.
Yeah, it's still really smooth though.
It is smooth. It's not terrible.
No.
The first thing that Kevin said to me when he brought this over is like, "I brought a beer. You're not going to like it."
I said, "I don't think you'll like it."
Why do you think that? Because I think you said that about the Doppelbock too, and I like the Doppelbock. Is it because I'm a picky eater?
No, it's because I'm used to like people who like a lot of people don't like craft beers. They kind of like one thing, and so when you talk to somebody about craft beers, like I know that Trent doesn't like IPAs, and a lot of people don't. I just figured that you like what you like, and you drink a lot of like seltzers too. So I was like, oh, you're just a seltzer guy. So
I do like seltzers, and
they're refreshing.
They really are refreshing, and I get made fun of a lot for drinking the amount of seltzers that I drink. They taste good.
They also don't make you feel like a sack of smashed assholes the next day.
They're not heavy on my tummy.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
You
don't feel like you're carrying a loaf of bread.
I could drink dark beer all fucking night.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to feel like I gained 30 pounds the next morning. And
I told you about the IPA hangover is the worst.
Yeah.
Because you're just like belching those flavors, those mixture of flavors. I get that really bad. We have a beer festival every year. I go to it. I've gone every year. I have so many commemorative glasses from that fucking place for every single year. You'll see. And one year I remember I drank so many IPAs there, and the next morning I was like, oh my God, I can never do that again.
Yeah.
bad news.
And then we do it again the next year.
Yeah, we do it again. It's just like Donkey Day.
Yeah. Fucking Donkey Day.
Donkey Day. I don't know if we've described that yet on the show.
No. You want to talk about Donkey Day?
Yeah, we'll do a little talk about it, and then we'll get into my new segment I just invented.
So Donkey Day is the poorest of decisions that any man would make in his entire life.
Correct. I always look forward to it until it happens.
You look forward to it until the day after.
Yeah.
Even during, I think this last Donkey Day, we're like, we don't want to fucking do this. We're getting too old for this. Yeah. Like, why are we still doing this? So when Kevin and I officially met for the first time that I remember, I don't know if we met before then, but
yeah, I think we ran into each other a couple times.
Yeah. But we were introduced through Trent, and we started playing a D&D campaign because I had played D&D with a different group of friends. And I was like, hey, I want to GM a game. And Kevin was in, and we had a bunch of other people. And that's how like Kevin and I spawned our friendship, and later into a business, and later into, boyfriends. Close enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we played this campaign, and then there was the group walking around, and they had acquired a donkey through Jared. Mm-hmm. Who we still need to have on show. I got the IPA burps now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and before you keep going, mm-hmm. so John was initially started the D&D campaign with you, and I came on later, and I wasn't there for the donkey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I was like a couple episodes or a couple sessions.
You were
later.
PD. You were post donkey.
Yeah, I was like one or two. I was a little bit past donkey, but I heard the whole story like 8 times.
Yeah. Because we talk about it every year.
Every year, yeah.
It's legend at this point. So we had this D&D campaign. They had a donkey. They tried to use the donkey to what's the word I want to use here? Sodomize a dragonborn to death, and it didn't work out. The donkey died. The crew built a gold statue in the middle of town for Donkey because they saved the town, and they wanted to commemorate the donkey. So now every year, the Saturday immediately following the 4th of July, we celebrate Donkey Day. And Donkey Day is celebrated by grabbing a donkey piñata, throwing a bunch of pocket shots into the said donkey, and anybody that's here can participate. It doesn't have to be somebody that was part of the initial party. We have had a vast array of people in the time. And then we roll a d20 times 3 to determine how long in between shots. So if you roll a 1, it's 3 minutes. If you roll 20, it's 60 minutes between shots. And I will tell you from experience, we do not roll high.
It's always like back-to-back ones. That always happens.
It always happens.
It's happened like 3 years in a row.
And so we all contribute. We all buy a bunch. I still have a bag sitting off camera over there of just pocket shots left over. And usually of hundreds of shots, we're down to 20.
Yeah. Sometimes none.
Which
is insane.
And then in between this, we're drinking beer, having fires, stuff like that. But it's a real bad night for anybody involved.
Yeah. Drink responsibly, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't be like us. Drink responsibly, please.
Don't participate in Donkey Day unless you're physically here, and then it's mandatory for our friend group at this point. I mean, we have people that have no idea about Donkey. Like, at least you were part of the campaign, but like my wife has no idea. She knows the story of Donkey, but she's forced to participate in the fact that she has to put me to bed usually.
Oh, yeah. No, except for that one time I put you to bed.
Except for that one time you put me to bed, yeah.
I lifted Troy off the couch because we were sitting here and she was like...
Wasn't your wife on that? No, it was Steph.
Yeah.
Stephanie was passed out on that couch. I was passed out on this couch.
You were passed out there, and then and then your wife was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have to leave him here. That's okay." And I was like, "I can carry him. I can just take him." She's like, "Can you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." She's like, "Well, don't hurt your back." And I was like, "It's fine. I'll just lift you. You're like a dead body. Like you are just like sprawled, like dead weight, you know." And I just like threw you up. I picked you up, and I just like carried you right to bed, and then I tucked you in.
Should we do a a Drop Dad Donkey Day special.
That would be insane. It would probably be mostly on our phones, and we would just have to cut the fucking footage together.
We'll have to get like microphones. Everybody that comes in, like have a microphone pinned onto your. Baby, can we make that happen?
Put all these cameras outside and just one of like the whole yard, and then like one
right by the fire.
You can talk right into this one.
I don't know that we want that evidence floating out there. I mean, you were in a Speedo.
That's true. He was.
You know, your nuts were falling out.
I was scrolling through my photos, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I was scrolling, and I saw naked, and I went, "What was that?" And I realized, "Oh, it's Troy in the Speedo." And then you were grinding right on my crotch. Like it was.
You're welcome.
And I was trapped. I was next to people. I was like, "I can't get out of this."
Did you want to?
Maybe.
Yeah. So this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do one camera as like a confessional where anybody can come in and just like sit down and record their thoughts throughout Donkey Day.
That's a really good idea.
And then we'll have one out on the deck.
Yeah.
Because that's where the shots are taken. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have one by the fire.
Yeah.
And we'll just record it that way.
I remember
my wife is sighing right now because she's like, that's a fucking terrible idea. But I think it's a good idea.
She was like, man, I really want to have this at someone else's house. I remember that.
It's tradition.
I remember I was sitting out by the fire last year, and I look up, and you're like, I like looked above my head, and you were like, slap the bag. And it was like the tea, the twisted tea.
Yeah.
I drank so much of that tea.
It's so good though.
I drank like, I feel like I drank like a gallon of that shit that night.
We drank a lot.
I was just like, you were like, just keep going until I was just like, I can't stop. It's so tasty.
It is. So I always get the half and half. So it's half lemonade, half twisted tea.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so fucking good. I just had a thought that came to my mind.
All right.
So we obviously do Doom Vision together.
Correct.
But my mom was watching this show. She doesn't watch Doom Vision, but she watches this show. So I wonder how disappointed she's going to be at me on this episode.
Well, hey, why don't we get right into my my news segment?
Yes, let's do it.
Oh my God, what I talked about it right before this, and it's
things on the internet that fool you.
Things on the internet that fool me. We're gonna call this Kevin's Curmudgeon Corner. Kevin's Curmudgeon Corner. Get off my lawn is what we're gonna call it. And so I don't like getting fooled by the internet. Mm-hmm. I love Snopes. Snopes is my favorite fucking website to go to.
Do you really use Snopes?
Yeah. Wait, do they? No, you do not. I'm going to freak out.
How often do you use Snopes?
Whenever I think that something is wrong.
How often do you think that something is wrong? Like, what
are
you
skeptical about everything? Like, okay, so I have like 50 examples. One example of something, and Snopes was like, no, you're wrong. So when I was in college, this was one of the most this is one of those things that pops back into my head every now and again. I'm like, so fucking dumb, Kevin. You should just jump off a bridge. And I found out that you believed it too for a really long time. Was that the origin of the word fuck came from some king saying fornication under consent of the king, and you would put it outside your house and be like, oh, they're fucking in there. And I believe that because I looked it up when I was 13, and there was a YouTube video about it, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I'm with you.
I believed that until I went to college. Right. And then when I was in college, I had a professor who had a special class every year, and he would say, it was a English class, and he wanted to make a class about like the origin and the effectiveness of swear words and where they come from. Mm-hmm. Right. And he says, raise your hand if you know where the term, and he would close the door. You go and he goes, this is the only time you're ever going to be able to swear a bunch. We're going to write all the swear words on the board. Raise your hand if you know the term, where the term fuck came from. I raised my hand, right? Freshman in college, bam, like right out the gate. I was 18. And I said, I know it because, let's just say I was sleuthing when I was a teenager and I know these things. So, and I give him the whole spiel and he goes, mm-hmm. He goes, well, as we in the professional industry like to say, and he highlighted a word we had written, bullshit. And I went, what? Right? I was befuddled. And he goes, no. And he was like, and he goes, this is where it comes from. And he tells me from like a German origin and everything like that. And I was like, I don't know if I can come back. Like, and everybody was just like, Fucking dumbass.
Okay, everybody from our generation thought that was where fuck came from.
You were the first person that I brought that up to that thought that was like the same.
I can understand that that's like way too convenient, and that it comes from a different lineage. But like, come on, fornication under command of the king.
It sounds too good to be true, and that's what I've learned. That is what I've learned. If it is too good to be true, where do you think the term hangover came from?
Ooh,
let's see if you got fucked like I did.
So like I never Googled hangover, but
tell me if this makes sense to you. So when sailors got too drunk,
okay,
they had affordable, very inexpensive housing, right? Where it was basically a room, and then this big heavy-duty rope, and if you were too drunk, you could lie across it with your arms over, and there was a photo, and it was like a penny a night. And if you were too drunk when you came into port, you could hang over the rope.
I don't know if I buy that. I would buy more of in earlier times. I would buy sailors hanging over the side of the ship because they were nauseous before I would buy that.
Well, anyway, I believed it for a short while until I Googled it, and it was like, no, that's wrong. The photo is from a production of some sort for some other for a movie or whatever. And have you ever seen the movie The Fourth Kind?
No.
Mila Jovovich, right? Throughout that whole movie, they are reenacting things that happened, right? And so they were like, this is a mixture of real footage and footage that we don't have, right? And of this like horrifying like encounter that they had in Nome, Alaska, right? I believe that fucking movie Hook, Line, and Sinker, right? And it was like they had like footage from like a cop camera, from like that, where it was like, oh my God, what's that in the clouds, and like I was young and dumb, but like I hate getting fooled like that, and I hate when like people put shit out there that is like so not real that like it bugs the fuck out of me when I'm like, God, why did I believe that? It was too good to be true. Can you name a time when that happened to you?
Not an appropriate time.
Your wife.
Okay, go ahead.
Too good to be true.
Oh, yeah. What are you hiding? Pull up Snopes on your phone. I want to check my wife.
Why did you say Snopes is bad?
I didn't say Snopes was bad because I'm aware of Snopes, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just not something that I use frequently. And
I just do whenever I think something's too good to be true. And then I'm like, oh, because they go, here's what we found. We did a bunch of research and we cannot find anything corroborating what this meme is saying or whatever.
I'm trying to like recall a time that I've used Snopes to like validate a story, and I'm struggling. I know I've like,
and they do
looked
like
at
everything.
Yeah,
they do like everything down to like here's a meme, here's a what so and so said in an interview. Is that true? No, it's partially true. It's kind of true. False. It's 100% true.
Well, I mean, and we're kind of in the era where everything is like fact checked on the internet too.
Yeah.
So
I just don't like to be lied to. Right in. If you've been fooled by the internet, write into us and we can have a bitch session.
Kevin, everybody on the internet's lying to you.
I know, but I don't like
I am thankful that you are married and not on a dating site.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Could you imagine Kevin would be like, "Oh my God, guys, I found this fucking 10. Snopes says she's good."
And I know for a fact
it's a Black Widow.
that I am gullible because I am immediately trusting of people.
It's not a bad quality.
I have been taken advantage of because of that. I know that I have, because I'm very trusting. I had an ex once that was very, she lied about every little thing. Even the dumbest things would be lied about. So that's like, it's one of my biggest pet peeves of if I catch you lying, I don't think I can trust you. And then I'll look you up on Snopes.
Is this a bad time to announce that I actually haven't released any of the episodes of Doom Vision, and we've just been
we've just been dicking around.
We've just been dicking around this whole time.
You're lying to me because I've listened to them.
Have you?
Did I?
Roll for sanity.
Oh God. Anyway, that's Kevin's curmudgeon corner, and we'll revisit that when I have more things to bitch about.
No, but I can see that. I don't know. I don't look on a lot of places that are not trustworthy though.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably part of my battle or my problem is like I'll read information on Reddit and shit like that, but if it seems outlandish, I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit.
I know, and a lot of people are like, "Why did you believe that?" I'm like, because they made it seem good.
Yeah.
And see, now I used to be like, I really believe in like, I don't know, Bigfoot and shit. Now I'm like, probably not. Probably just a guy in a suit.
I think the last one that I really looked into that had me fooled was probably Paranormal Activity.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Because the footage from the movie was so I feel was very convincing. There was no credits at the end for the initial release.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's how the fourth kind was.
Yeah, I'm like, that's fucking way too real to be. I gotta sneeze, but way too real to be fake.
I had to look up, like, I found because I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this movie is real and shit. And so I started scouring the credits and I found like this name of this lady. And it was like uncredited or whatever. And I Googled her and I'm like, oh my God, the woman that this all happened to was a fucking actress. Motherfucker. And I was just like, you know what? This is bullshit. I get pulled into creepypastas. You ever?
Oh, yeah.
Creepypastas. I'm like, oh my God, did that happen? And then I'm like, oh, it's a creepypasta.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just get fooled. I'm an old man. I get fooled. I'm in my 30s. I was here since the beginning of the internet, but I still get fooled.
I mean, in the inception of the internet, when we were all coming up with it, I might have to sneeze again. There was so much anarchy. Like, oftentimes you couldn't tell what was real and what was fake.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. Now everything's like deep fakes. I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking Tom Cruise is spouting a bunch of fucking crazy shit. I'm like, well, that's just Tom Cruise, but also deep fake.
But I'm watching TikToks with fucking Donald Trump, Obama, and fucking Biden playing Call of Duty
God, those
together.
Are really
like,
funny. Those are really funny. Oh
or Minecraft or something together. It's Could you imagine if we had that shit back then?
Oh, like, I know. Anybody can make anything now.
Yeah, it's
Juice. Do you have any stories where you got fooled by the internet? No.
Oh, she definitely does. Then when she says, "Yeah,"
did you think Twilight was real?
She still.
I don't know why I keep going back to Twilight
because she's a vampire whore.
Right. Yeah.
She likes vampire smut.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm sure I have.
At least I'm not like those people that thought that Avatar was real, the first one, and they would paint themselves blue and shit, and they were like, "I want to go to Pandora." Remember that? Do you remember that happening?
No.
It was like this whole thing when that movie came out. People would paint themselves blue and give themselves tails and be like, "I want to be blue."
Navi? Is that Navi? Navi.
Yeah. That's the
Navi.
Species, yeah. It's crazy when things grasp people like that. Like, it's almost like this mob thing. Like, like it's like when everybody was watching Game of Thrones. Like everybody, you'd go into work and be like, "Did you watch last night's episode?" I'm like, "Of course I did." Like it was like a phenomenon.
So I can tell you specifically about Game of Thrones that I avoided it until season 8.
Oh,
I did not watch a single episode.
Wow.
And then the first time that I watched a Game of Thrones episode, and this is no joke, it was after a concert that Trent and I had done. We had got really drunk, called off of work, and laid in bed and watched the first 4 episodes. He laid in my bed, and we weren't in the nude, but we laid in my bed and watched the first 4 episodes of Game of Thrones.
I had somebody had a buddy burn. He gave the first 2 seasons to me for free.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just gave them to me on a flash drive. He's like, "Oh hey, I have these here. You can have them." Oh okay. And it was like I think they were in season 4 at the time, season 3 or 4, and then so we binged 1 and 2, and then we were like weekly watchers after that.
It was such a good show. Are you watching House of the Dragon?
Yeah, we watched all of that one too.
Do you know that they're not coming out with another episode until 2024?
Well, that's a fucking long ass time away.
Like, we fucking watched them as they released.
Yeah.
And we Googled when the next season was coming out, 2024.
God, I guess it takes a lot to make that shit. Like,
it does, but I think they kind of waited to see. Like, when you know something's going to be successful, right? You start pre-production. Like, you'd have your break, you produce your show, and then you'd go into your next season if it's a good show.
Yeah.
They're probably just waiting to see if it was going to. The fucking IPA burps are killing me right now. I'm on the struggle bus.
You remember this? My professor I had, he always looked like he ate a big sandwich right before he walked in. I was like, yeah. So, excuse me. So.
But anyway, I think that's probably what happened. And after the success of the last season, season 3 probably won't be so far.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, season 8 took for 3 years.
Yeah, it took a long time.
That's because they didn't know they were going to end it either. So.
Yeah, and they were like, let's do all the endings in 2 episodes.
Every single one of them.
Every single thread.
What are your thoughts on the ending? Who did you think was going to take the Iron Throne?
I didn't think it was going to be that way, but I don't know. I think I had like a thought that I want, like,
who did you want?
My dream, like what I want, you know? And I really wanted, like, after you find out that like Jon and Daenerys are boning and stuff, and like, and like they're related, I'm like, oh, well, they could just rule together and be cool. And he's the snow and she's the fire.
Targaryen.
And, yeah. Like Song of Ice and Fire. They complement each other even though they're fucking related. And that they would rule the kingdom because that's kind of like, but that would end in a too good to be true kind of fashion.
Right.
The fucking episode title of this show should be Too Good to Be True.
Yeah.
Like, cause I've said that 8 times, but, you know, I don't know. I think, like if everybody was angry about it, I think they should have gone on for more seasons.
I do too. I was really pulling for Arya. I was a massive fan of Arya throughout the show.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Because she was a fucking badass, man. I can't remember the name.
Blind for a while.
Yeah, she went blind and
learned how to fight.
The scene that really solidified it for Arya for me was the one where she was in. I can't remember what his name was. It's been so long. It was at the bridge castle, and she went in and like fucking murdered everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And then like was in somebody else's face. It was after she went to. Oh shit! It's been so long since I've watched that show now.
The names are all crazy.
Yeah.
Hard to remember.
But anyway, she went into that castle and fucking murdered everybody.
Got all the, she got the revenge that she was looking for. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah.
The Frey. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I was team Arya from that. Yeah. And I knew it was a long shot. Like, she's not going to become queen.
All the Starks were badasses.
Yeah.
You know, all of them, everybody was rooting for them, you know. Mm-hmm. So it was great to like have all of them kind of, except for the ones that died, of course, be like rulers in their own right, except for Arya, who was like, I'm going to fucking rule the seas at the end.
Yeah. All the Starks, though, really died in like kind of badass ways. Like, Joffrey's death, while it was cool, it was not as badass as I'd wanted it to be. You know what I mean? I wanted him to like go through some pain as sadistic as that sounds, but like Ned Stark getting his head cut off. And
do you remember the Battle of the Bastards? Mm-hmm. I was on the edge of my seat
such a fucking good episode.
That episode was incredible. Yep. I was on the edge of my seat like the whole time. I didn't speak. I was just like, I can't fucking move. This is so good.
Even though George R.R. Martin is an incredibly slow writer, he writes some of the best villains.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like Joffrey, that other bastard, what was his name?
Ramsay Snow.
Oh, yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But he writes really good villains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's not afraid to, like, you know, kill off your favorite character for the sake of a story.
Yeah, also fuck him for that.
See, you on our other show, Doom Vision, you're always so like angry at me that I'm going to kill off a good character.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
All
so
right.
let's do our couples counseling, because we could talk about some Doom Vision shit here that we can't talk about on Doom Vision.
Right.
I am very, what's the word? I'm very story driven in the sense that I'm opinionated about how the characters should react to certain situations or how certain situations should play out for cinematic value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I am too.
And you are too.
Yeah.
But you also live and die by the dice.
I like to live and die by the dice.
I do not.
I like because the dice represent the randomness of life. And so like
Fair.
At any point in time, a fucking natural one for a pilot could crash into this room right now and I could die. Yeah. And that's, that's what that does. That it represents the fate of life and the randomness and the crazy, like, oh my God, I almost just died, kind of things. And so like, I like to use that because using the dice furthers the story. So,
do you think that there is a time, because some GMs fudge, and I know you historically are not a fudger.
mm-hmm.
And if you haven't watched the Doom Vision podcast, are you on this camera right here? Okay. If you have not watched the Doom Vision podcast, highly recommend it. I'm biased because I'm 1/4 the producers of that show, but it's a really good show. We put a lot of effort into it. It's a really good collective story. So even if you're not into role-playing games, it's like you're listening to an audiobook when you're listening to it. It's not really like a game. But anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. I probably shouldn't have went on that rant.
You're talking about the story and for story's sake and whatnot.
Yeah. So do you feel like there is a time where you could have fudged or should have fudged? Do you look back at our game and go like, maybe I should have just fudged that just a touch, just for story's sake?
Yeah. Yes. I think I could have, but it doesn't feel fair to do that. I would only ever fudge a die roll or make something happen like that if it was critical. It has to be very critical for it to, like at one point Juice's character is getting shot at with a shotgun and I was just rolled poorly and I couldn't make it happen. And you use my poor rolling as a way to say, oh, I miss shooting you because of this reason. And you come up with an explanation as to why can't he hit her? He's right there. Why can't this happen? He's right there. And so it makes you broaden your mind as to like why a roll happened, and it gives you answers. So like if I was nailing it and I rolled an natural 20, but like he fucking hated her. He wanted to kill her. He wanted her to die. He made sure she died. And she died that way, and it just it just helps explain the story. But of course I sometimes I go and I look back and I'm like, why did I say that? Like, why did I wish I would have like made this certain thing happen so that we didn't go on this long ass tangent around it. But it happens. Nothing to do about it.
It does. And the benefit to the forum that we play at is that some of that ancillary shit we can cut. So for instance, season 1, there was a scene where I think it was Marcus had a gun pointed at somebody's head, like point blank, closer than you to me. And it took us collectively as a group like 8 rolls to get there.
And I remember being like, okay, this is a little ridiculous. I kept saying that she was like batting the gun away. So as you were trying to shoot her, she would just hit it away. And the entire, that was a moment. Yeah, you're right. I should have just been like, yeah, you shoot her and you kill her. So that's another moment where I look back and I'm like, yeah, it would have probably made more sense for you to walk up and shoot her. But I enjoyed it anyway.
I mean, it's all fun. And for any dads out there that have never played a tabletop role-playing game, like if you ever want to escape, and maybe escape isn't the right word, but just want to
children.
Like you just want to reprieve from living in your world and kind of living out a superhero type like fantasy, even if it's Dungeons and Dragons, if it's Delta Green, Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's
ones where you actually get to be a superhero and have powers.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky enough that we have a group of friends that plays these. There's plenty of groups out there that'll play them. I highly recommend playing them. I was not a nerd in school, and I'm going to call Kevin out. Kevin was a nerd.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Although I didn't play D&D until I was 28.
So the third time I played D&D was with you.
Yeah. So you didn't get into it till you're older.
Yeah, I didn't play D&D until I was 26 the first time ish. God, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you ever want a reason to get together with your buddies, drink and make funny stories, like our last campaign, we ended up winning the campaign, or winning, quote unquote, but we had a band in the campaign. Had nothing to do with the story. Our band was Coldplay.
Just did it. Yeah. It was called Coldplay because it was set in a cold environment.
It was.
That was it. Juice had a snowy owlbear pet that she hung out with all the time.
And she gets fixated. So one of the things that I fear about her playing role-playing games is she gets fixated, right? So like the day that Ness dies is going to be a day in this house. We're going to have a ceremony.
Yeah.
Like you and Jugs are going to have to come over wearing black. It's going to be a fucking deal, right?
Yeah.
She saw the trailer for the new D&D movie, which we have an issue with. Can we talk about this?
Oh, all right. Lay it on me.
I'm excited to see the new D&D movie, but we both looked this up. And the druid in the new D&D movie wild shapes into an owlbear, which you cannot do.
By the rules, you can only
because it's a monstrosity.
You can only wild shape into and also the size category. You can only wild shape a certain size category or CR.
Yeah. So we saw the trailer and we were talking about it because she's in love with her owlbear, Barry. She actually has. I bought her a stuffed animal owlbear because of this campaign, and we named it Barry because that was the name of her owlbear. So we were watching the trailer for the new D&D movie, and the druid wild shaped into an owlbear, and we're like, "That's not right."
Welcome to being a nerd. Where you're like, point of order, excuse me, please.
I was like, wait, hold on. I tried to do that in our game, and Kevin told me no because I wanted Barry hit for a lot. When he hit for a lot. So I tried that, and you're like,
I almost killed that Barry 8 times.
I know.
I just roll like garbage.
Yeah. So we got into this big debate, like,
maybe I should switch spots on the couch with Jess, and you guys can talk about your guys' like entanglement about why you can't kill her in any role-playing game that we play.
Well, and like it probably seems like I'm attacking her, but in reality, I'm a lot of it is random, but a lot of it is like, oh, you're right there. All right, I'll kill you. I'll try to, I'll attack you or whatever.
But you can't.
I know.
You've killed me in a game.
Yeah. I've almost killed you in a couple of games, but I actually did kill you one time.
You've killed me once. You've taken me once.
Yeah, I took your character because you went insane.
I gave you a lot of help to get to that one, though.
If Juice, if your character is ever incapacitated or crazy or gets hurt, it's because the game made it happen, not because like I attacked you personally.
That's a load of shit.
True.
He targeted me from day one just because I wanted to take pictures of cooters.
And it really does make me feel good that like, and I know this is going to sound weird, but it makes me feel really good when, when you go out and you buy an owlbear and you're like, man, it means I made the right decision in the game to like give you a pet, like I love that. It makes me feel nice that like, and even when you like, even when you're like upset and crying about it, I'm like, I elicited an emotion, which is what I'm supposed to do.
But I think that's part of like the point of role-playing games, right? So the great thing to me about role-playing games is it doesn't cost $70 to buy the game. So for instance, you and I have been playing Hogwarts Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
$60 base to get into the game, just to play it, just
Yeah.
for us to even have a conversation about it. We're not playing together.
Mm-hmm.
So role-playing games, you get together with friends, you get to drink beer, and you get to create a story together, and you get to play your character.
And you get to kind of shape it however you want. It's creative.
And really, even if you're playing a prefabbed campaign, like, so the one that we're talking about with the owlbear is Icewind Dale.
Yeah. Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Yeah. The main story, the main campaign is written, but we did so much shit that had nothing to do with.
Yeah, like the bones of the story are there, and like the steps and the chapters are there, but like whenever you do that, you don't just go like, okay, chapter 1, we're going to go and hunt down a serial killer, and then you're going to kill him, and then okay, now we're on to chapter 2. No, like everybody feeds the story in their own way, and so it becomes like, instead of A to B to C to D, it becomes like this web of like, we're all just telling a story, we're creating together, and it's great. And like homebrew is even more so that way, because you're like, well, I got nothing, or like I have an idea, but like I have to ad lib everything from here on out, or everybody has different ways that they do it, but yeah, I typically usually run they call them canned campaigns, or like pre-written, just because they're easier to run, and it's
less
hard
pre-work.
It's less pre-work, and usually like if you find a really good one, you're like, well, they did all the work for me, and it's a lot more fun. You can guarantee more fun at the table. But
so, and I know we're kind of talking to a specific section of
dads and people in general.
Of dads right now. Again, if you haven't ever done TTRPGs, and you're like the sports dad that's watching it, I'm telling you, like, I'm heavy into sports. It's fun to do. One of the big things about the space that we work in with regarding to Doom Vision is the Matthew Mercer effect, and all of our kind of nerd listeners will know exactly what I'm talking about with regards to the Matthew Mercer effect. And I will say that I watch Critical Role. I've had the luck to play with good DMs. I've had the luck to watch Matthew Mercer play. And I think, Kevin, truly, you're right at the caliber of where he's at with regards to your voices, your storytelling, the way you, and this is not blowing smoke up your ass. This is me being an honest review. If I thought you were a shit DM, I wouldn't even be talking about this, right? But you are right up there. And I don't know how Jess feels, because Jess has watched a lot of Critical Role at this point, but you rival him. The one thing that he might have better is 30 plus years in voice acting, but even your voices that you do with characters, the way you draw me in to a story is just bar none. There's few that rival or that are better. So you do a phenomenal job, and I aspire to be that GM that can be as, I know you don't always feel like you're on your toes, but like I aspire to be like that, to have the character ready, even if it's bullshit and you're just pulling out of your ass. You do a phenomenal job, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit for being a phenomenal GM.
You're making me feel like the Grinch, and his heart grew 3 sizes that day. He felt so good.
I mean, it's true, and we don't get the opportunity. We don't get the opportunity to really talk about it, because Doom Vision is a very structured show, because we don't want too much of the conversation to go over top of the story, right? We want the story.
Not a conversation podcast. Right?
Yeah, we want the story to talk for itself, and we have that a little bit in the debrief. But usually the debrief is us talking about what happened in the episode, and not to cross paths too much. But it's something that impacts us pretty significant. It's started this whole endeavor. It's the reason that we're talking on this podcast right now is because of Doom Vision. So,
and we wanted to make it like. We wanted to make it, we wanted to make something where we play a game together and have fun. And we are doing that. And, and thanks, man. I always like brush that kind of stuff off just because like, but it's I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I and I think one of the reasons why, and I've said this before, and it's kind of a sad reason as to why I like games like this, why I like tabletop RPGs is because, and I say this and it sounds really sad, but maybe it isn't. I don't have to be Kevin anymore. I can be anybody else. I can be somebody else. So I don't have to be, this guy with this worries, this guy with these insecurities. I can be somebody else. And if I'm at a table with people I trust, like I am, I can, I can put on a funny voice. I can be a character. I can make you guys all laugh, and then, or I can make you guys all gasp or scream or whatever. And I can like, feel like I'm giving a gift to someone, and I don't have to be like a boring person like I am during the day or during my 9 to 5, 8 to 5. I don't have to be Kevin. I don't have to be, I can be whatever I want, and the imagination gets to run wild. So it's kind of sad, but it's the reason why.
Honestly, I don't feel like it's sad. I think everybody wants that, right? Like if we're getting it down to brass tacks, all and specifically speaking to dads, like there are all times, or all of us have times where we're like, man, wouldn't it be good to be James Bond? Wouldn't it be good to be a billionaire on a yacht right now? Wouldn't it be good to be fucking Batman? You know what I mean? Like, I think we all kind of think about those times. So like having this forum where we can do it and kind of live out that fantasy. And I think that's why most of us play video games. I think that's why video games are so heavily dominated by males, is like, we want to go act out the things we like. We want to go act out Call of Duty, where we can be the fucking hero of a war.
Red Dead Redemption 2, where you get to go be a cowboy.
Yeah, like we want to go act out being a cowboy. We want to go,
and not just like young people too. Like, there's an older man. I think he's in his 70s, and he has logged some ungodly amount of hours on Red Dead Redemption 2 because he gets to go play and be a cowboy like he used to watch in the old westerns when he was a kid. Like I read about a story about that guy.
Yeah, and
or the Skyrim mom. She played Skyrim up until she couldn't play any longer because she had Alzheimer's, which is sad. But she played like for 15 years or something like that. Skyrim.
And I think that's a piece of all of us, right? Like very few of us in this lifetime get to be 100% what we want to be just because of the physical restrictions of our world, right? Like the reality of me ever being Batman, who's my favorite superhero, is not likely. Number one, I'm out of shape. Number two, I'm not a billionaire yet, like this podcast. But the physical restrictions of this world prevent a majority of us from doing this. But if we have a pathway to sit and play a character for an hour or a few hours, why wouldn't we play D&D with a group of friends that we trust? Like, let's all escape to another world for 3-4 hours. And
we've been doing that for thousands of years, where, people sit around a campfire and tell a story, way back in the day when people were just huddling around a campfire and talking and communicating. As soon as humanity could, they wrote down shit. They figured out how to write down shit. It went from spoken word to onto paper so that people could read a story about Gilgamesh, the first epic ever made. Beowulf, like all these stories where it captured people, and like we just love the idea of a good story. That's human nature at its best, is when we can hear a story and have it do something inside of us to like aspire us to be good or better, or not just aspire, but like inspire all of us. Like, and these stories that we tell, whether or not they go on for millennia, like the old epics do, But everybody just loves a good story since forever. As soon as we could start talking, we were like, hey, I got a story, so, and that's human nature.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. Like I used to think, like, specifically tabletop RPGs, nerdy, geeky, wouldn't do that. And now some of my best adult memories are sitting around the table, sharing some drinks, and fucking playing a Dragonborn or playing, Marcus, who's a fucking asshole, but getting to be something else for an hour makes a lot of difference. And I think that's healthy, man. And getting that positive escape where we're not out on the street banging heroin. We're not, you know what I mean? Like, you get that same escape, but you get it with your friends. You get it in a safe place, and you get to be the hero of your own story.
Yeah, and when you go home, you feel like full of you. Just, I don't know how to describe it other than you feel full. You're just lay in bed and you're like, man, what a fucking cool night that was. Man, that thing that happened was awesome. I rolled that 20 or whatever.
Yeah,
it just like. You think about those things. It's incredible. Like,
for sure.
You can't replace that feeling other than like, I don't know, the birth of your child. That's.
I mean, that's almost as good as killing the Chartling dragon, but
Yeah, that's almost as good as rolling a nat 20. Critical success, baby.
It's almost as good as rolling a 69.
Oh man.
No, but honestly, it and I recommend this. I know we all have our things. I mean, I've played fantasy football, played fantasy sports. And for those of you out there that do, I don't know which camera I'm looking at, I think of this one, but for those of you that do play fantasy sports, it's a lot like that, except for it's a lot less stat taking and a lot more storytelling. But I think we all have our own niche of shit, and I think, man, anytime you can get together with your friends and fucking drink beer and
it's the new poker night.
It is the new poker night.
Yeah, except for you don't lose all your money and you have to go home to your like significant other.
No, I just lose all my patience and then yell at my wife about Kevin. And
Kevin tried to kill me.
You don't try to kill me. You try to kill her.
Only slightly true. Well, do we have time for a little joke?
Sure.
Hit me. Joking. Joke. Are we
gonna try and do this without laughing?
How about we do 5 jokes?
Okay.
And whoever laughs loses.
Okay.
I
am totally cheating on this.
I have a lot that I have written down. I'm just gonna fucking start reading them.
Okay. Hold on. Let me gather myself.
Let's get the giggles out.
I got the giggles. We got about 8 minutes. I'm being told by a producer.
Oh, okay. All right. If you laugh, you lose.
Take a drink.
You take a drink.
Okay.
Take a drink.
I am really bad at these games.
So I went to my doctor the other day. And he told me to stop masturbating.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I said, why? He said, because I'm trying to examine you.
You can't laugh because it makes it harder. That's what she said. Does it count if I laugh when I tell my own joke?
No, I think you're trying to make the other person laugh, so it's okay.
This is really sad.
Okay.
My pen recently got out of prison. It finished a very long sentence.
How does an alchemist please his wife?
I don't know.
He licks her.
It doesn't count if she makes me laugh. That doesn't count for me. Are you good? No.
Oh man, I'm gonna get you so good on the next one.
You good? Okay. My ex was an archaeologist. She's always digging up the past, putting it on display. It was a rocky relationship. Nice. The rocky relationship would have pushed me over on that one, I think.
How does the Rock pee? He Dwayne's his Johnson.
Stop laughing. You're making it hard.
Oh, God.
What's the score right now?
His are so much funnier than yours. You need to step up your game, Sweet Pea.
Wow. Wow. What's the score right now? Like 3-0?
I think so.
Or it's got to be 2-0 because I didn't laugh at one. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's 2,
2-0.
I think.
Okay. So I accidentally sent my friends flowers over the internet. Whoopsie daisy. My wife just likes you more than me.
Two years ago, my doctor said I was going deaf. I haven't heard from him since.
God damn it. Did you hear about this? Beastie Boys are releasing a 5-part anthology. Part A through D are free. But you have to fight for your right to Part E.
God damn it.
How many are we at? I don't know. We'll keep going.
All
Thought it's
right.
not funny anymore.
We'll keep going until my list is over.
Okay.
Did you hear about the cheese factory in France that exploded?
Oh, no.
Debris everywhere.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So recently I went down to the aquarium, but I can never find the catfish. They never look like their picture.
Yeah. What time do ducks wake up? The quack of dawn.
It's a good one. So in school, I was taught that it's I before E except after C. But science has proven that wrong.
I just found out that cockfighting is done with roosters. 6 months of training down the drain.
Oh, that's a good one. Did you hear about the convention this weekend?
Hmm.
It's an all-women's roofer convention. It's going to be in town. All the shingle ladies will be there.
That's a good one.
Doesn't count. I left it my own. You searching hard, huh?
What did one butt cheek say to the other?
Hmm.
Together we can stop this shit.
Do you know Vin Diesel only eats 2 meals a day?
Oh, yeah?
Breakfast and Furious.
God.
All right, I think that's good on the dad jokes.
Oh,
did you got one more? I'll keep going.
Hang on, wait. There's one that I heard the other day that was really got me.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Did you hear that Elton John bought his pet rabbit a treadmill?
Oh.
It's a little fit bunny.
All right, this is the one that I heard that was pretty good. Did you hear about that actress that killed herself?
I don't know.
What was her name? Reese. What was it? Reese
Witherspoon?
No, it was with a knife.
Okay. That was a good one. That was good. All right. We got time, man. We did it. We didn't think we were be able to do it without a guest.
Yeah, we I don't know. We covered a lot of topics.
We did. It was the best.
And that's just a conversation between me and Troy at, wee hours of the night or whatever.
That's a general conversation when our wives are like, "All right, guys, we got to go."
We're sick of you guys talking so much.
It's a little fit bunny. You laughed that time.
Oh. Well, yeah, no, I'm allowed to.
Yeah. Those were some good ones.
I always, whenever I'm, for whatever reason, I'll be like, you brought up Elton John. I'll sing something from Elton John, like an Elton John song. And I always sing like, Tiny Dancer.
Tony Danza?
I always sing it, Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
I hope Tony Danza holds me closer.
Every time. I'm like, hold me closer, Tony Danza.
Yep.
That's good.
I think that's the way that he meant it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, no, you should probably. Tony Danza wouldn't approve.
I think Tony Danza would approve.
He might approve.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for watching the Doom Vision podcast. Which camera are you on? I always get this backwards. Did I say Doom Vision podcast? Jesus Christ.
Get it together, man.
Last episode, we drank 9.5 IPAs, so I'm feeling it. Is it this camera?
6.5 on this one.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching the Drop Dad podcast, which is a spawn-off. It is the sister show of the Doom Vision podcast. If you haven't checked that out, please check that out on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. All the links for this podcast will be all around the screen. So there's probably one there, one here, one over there, one over there. Yeah. Make sure you follow us on Jesus Christ.
Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Friendster, MySpace. What are the other ones?
What's the one all the kids are using these days?
Snapshoot.
Make sure you follow us on Snapshoot.
Wait, that's a whole different website.
Actually, don't look that up because I don't know what that is, and I don't want you going to Snapshoot.
Snatch shoot.
Don't go to that one. Definitely do not go to that one. But thank you so much for watching us on the Drop Dad podcast. We surely appreciate you. Please join our Discord. Let us know some beers of the week to try. Yep. Let us know some topics that you want us to talk about. We've had some really good guests. If you have suggestions for guests or people that you would think would be great on our show, let us know because we can even talk to them online. We can zoom them in, and we have a beautiful big screen here that we can talk to them on.
Maybe we'll get John C. Reilly.
Maybe we'll get John C. Reilly. Maybe we'll get Will Ferrell.
Hey, it's me, John C. Reilly.
I can't.
Otherwise, I'll just do his voice, and then we'll just pretend.
There you go. We'll just do no cams that episode. It really is John C. Reilly. But join our Discord. All those links are in the description. And thank you guys so much for the support already. We were looking at the metrics today, and we were both pleasantly surprised with how well this podcast has done just out the gate. Yeah. It's
2 episodes in.
Fucking crazy. Yeah. 2 episodes when we're recording this one. So thank you guys for the love and support. And if you have any feedback, hit us up on Discord. It's going to be way quicker than any other platform. And tell your friends about us. Like, subscribe, share, and peace out, Girl Scout. I guess we'll just go with that. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.